Shashi Tharoor, congratulations on a new innings as MP from Thiruvananthapuram, and thank you very much for being on Beautiful People.
Thanks very much, despite the entirely inappropriate name of the program, in which I don't know if I belong.
You know,
I'm very happy to be with you.
I think you will perhaps fit the name the best. You're one of the few really good-looking people who've been on the show, so please take that as a compliment, and I'm sure you're used to it. But anyway, moving on, tell me, is there a book bursting to come out based on the experience you've had
in the past couple of months? I was asked that question during the campaign, and I said, if I lose, yes. But if I win, I'm part of the entire process, and I can't find the detachment necessary to write anything really of that nature.
It's interesting to hear you say that you won't have that detachment now that you've won. You really believe that?
Yeah, I mean, you've noticed, for example, that despite the fact that I spent 18-hour days at the UN, I haven't written a book about the UN either. In fact, I had thought that one of the things I might do later in life is to look back in tranquility on that UN experience and write about it. But I felt while I was within it, I was too immersed. There was too much at stake in terms of my own commitment to the institution to be able to write about it objectively. And I feel the same way now about Indian politics. I am somebody who is within. You have to stand outside a subject to be able to see it whole. And the second, quite frankly, is that you can't really write about something where what you write, if you write the truth, can end up offending people you have to work with. This was also an issue at the UN. I remember Kofi Annan saying at one point, when asked about being circumspect at the UN, he said, "You don't hit a man on the head when you have your fingers between his teeth." Yeah. And in a sense, in politics, one has one's fingers between the teeth of a lot of people one would have to write about.
That's true. You won by a margin of a lakh of votes, a vote share of 44.5% approximately.
With 5 national parties in the fray.
You didn't expect this?
I certainly did not. In the rest of Kerala, we had more or less a straight fight between the UDF and the LDF.
Right.
Trivandrum was the only place, Thiruvananthapuram, where we had a strong BJP candidate, the head of the state party, for whom Mr. Advani came and campaigned. We had a strong BSP candidate, a former Congress MP, for whom Ms. Mayawati came and campaigned. And we had an NCP candidate, Sharad Pawar's party, in addition to the party who holds this, which held the seat, the CPI, and myself as a challenger. So 5 national parties plus the usual slew of independents, including 2 propped up by the left whose names were Shashi in order to confuse the electorate. All of this, I really thought, I think I'll win because I saw the enthusiasm of the public right up to and including voting day. But I thought it'll be a modest victory.
When you announced that you were going to contest the 15th Lok Sabha elections on a Congress ticket as a Congress UDF...
When the Congress announced it, not me.
When the Congress announced it, you spent the next several weeks, in fact, right up to counting day perhaps, defending your ability to win those elections, because everybody said that you were just not cut out for the job. Right? So
not everybody didn't say that.
Most people.
But I'll tell you what happened was that some people felt that I wasn't, a politician, that I'd had a different sort of life, which was true. Some people also argued that I was only fit for air-conditioned offices and diplomatic gatherings, shaking the hands of foreign ministers and prime ministers, and that was not true. So I had to accept the former and disprove the latter. And the only way to disprove the latter was by going out and campaigning and showing them that I could do it. I mean, there were a lot of myths. It was said that I couldn't speak Malayalam at all, which is not so. I couldn't speak the Sahitya Malayalam that is a standard fare of rhetorical politician speeches. But I've spoken Malayalam since my childhood in a colloquial way, a direct from the heart Malayalam, which in fact appealed convincingly enough to voters. And I might add that I must have made, God knows, 500 speeches in Malayalam, given innumerable television interviews, participated in 7 live TV debates with a live audience and my opponents, and so on in Malayalam. So the fact that people still try to go around saying that I didn't speak the language was a bit silly. And on top of that, of course, there was the so-called outsider tag.
I can't help but feel that you're really relishing this victory because,
of course I am.
No, because you have seen great achievements, as a student, as a professional, and yet this kind of validation, this people electing you, majority voting for you, there is a different kind of high, a different kind of sense of achievement as a result of this?
It's a very humbling sense of responsibility, Anuradha, because the truth is that obviously I felt that once I had been invited to enter the political world, that I had to earn the right to be in politics, I had to earn the right to represent the people. And that meant really seeking their validation, and it was a huge gamble. Many people thought I would lose, as you said. I never thought that it was an unwinnable task, because I knew that some of the reasons why people thought I would lose were not valid reasons. But the truth is that it could have gone the other way, and then I could have ended up with egg on my face. I know somebody sent me some nasty comment in the blogosphere. He's lost the election in New York and I lose an election in Thiruvananthapuram. And I was braced for the worst. But at the same time, I felt very strongly that if I wanted to be in the political space, I had to go and connect with ordinary people. All my books about Indian politics have been the macro perspective. I've written about big issues of policy. I've written about the great sweep of political history. I've written, even my novels are sort of big picture novels. To actually go down to the grassroots, to look into the eyes of ordinary people in fields, in tea shops, on the street, understand their needs, their hopes, their aspirations, their fears, and tell them that I will represent these needs and try and meet them. That was a humbling process and a great education.
One of my favorite books is The Great Indian Novel, and I'm promoting it here by putting it up. You know, there is a bit over there where you're talking about how fasting as a protest, as a mechanism of protest and a political mechanism. You end by saying all we are left with today is the drama without the sacrifice. And isn't that a metaphor for Indian politics today? This is the sense you had of Indian politics. Now that you're in the thick of it, now that you are a career politician, how different is your perspective of the political class? Because when you were outside, there was a sense of, you know, as if the observer had the higher moral ground, isn't it?
Of course, it's a very, very valid point. And I must say that the book was published in '89,
yes,
written in '88. And I was in many ways echoing the analysis of Indian politics and of the Congress Party given by Rajiv Gandhi at the Congress centenary in '85. You see, this was not merely an outside observer's perspective. Even within, a fresh new Prime Minister had come in and said much the same thing, that there had been too much of you know, moving away from the principles and values of the nationalist movement. And I think that's something that from the outside one felt. From the inside, I still see some of the negatives of politics. I don't think that every single politician I've met is necessarily a paragon of virtue. But at the same time, I see also that there is sacrifice, there is huge effort, there's a tremendous amount of stamina. I mean, one of the things I used to say jokingly to my fellow politicians in Kerala is, you know, it's been said that I don't respect the politicians enough. The truth is my respect for your stamina has gone up enormously. Because for 4 weeks of the campaign, I mean, it was often 20, 21-hour days. One would stumble home to bed at 2 a.m. and be up again at the crack of dawn at 5 a.m. heading out to campaign in the hottest month of the year in the southernmost state of the country. It wasn't easy. And
connecting with all kinds of people,
sure,
and appearing genuine about that, trying to make that connection, isn't it? No, I'm not saying you weren't. I'm just saying that to be genuine, it requires a lot of effort and energy, isn't it?
Yeah, but you see, the point is I genuinely had the curiosity that drove this. In other words, when I went to see people and talk to them, it was a new experience for me, and like everybody with intellectual curiosity, anything new of that nature, meeting people you want to meet and whom you don't know, is fabulous. And I recounted, I mean, I remember one particular experience. I was going on this tour of the constituency when I saw a number of women working in a field, and I stopped the car and I got down. These were women working under the National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme. So I came down, and what happened was that they very graciously, seeing this sort of exotic character descending from the vehicle and walking towards them, they rushed out of their work. And they came towards me, and their hands were covered in mud and slime and dirt. I went towards them, and one of the ladies said, no, don't touch us, we're dirty. So I said, on the contrary, your dirt is building the nation, let me touch you. And at the moment, for me, I mean, it was special. They couldn't believe it.
Say that in Malayalam.
നിങ്ങളുടെ ചളിയല്ലേ നമ്മുടെ നാടിനെ കെട്ടുന്നത്.
Okay.
And I must say that they were wonderfully respectful. And I mean, they were touched by this, and I in turn was touched by their stories.